Hi, I'm Margaret Mary O'Connor, and I'm the host of the Your Radical Truth podcast. But prior to this, I live in Buffalo, New York, and educational-wise, I have a Bachelor of Science, and as well, I have a Master's in Pastoral Ministry. And I'm the author of 2 books, Journey of a Celiac Soul, S-O-U-L, and Scandal in the Shadows. Yes, what motivated me to write Scandal in the Shadows, the original priest, Mother Mary, was I came upon a wonderful discovery. At first, it indeed was very shocking that Jesus' own mother, Mary, Mother of God, was actually a woman priest. And what motivated me to write it was there are so few Catholic women that really have any knowledge of such wonderful news. And aside from this, even they still have never heard, let alone read, that there is an actual history of woman priests, bishops, and deacons within the early centuries of our church. And it really makes you wonder, or I did anyway, when I found out this discovery, well, why hasn't our church, the hierarchy, come forward to disclose this to any woman, in fact, to any Catholic? And lo and behold, you find out this is the one period in our church's early history that the hierarchy will never acknowledge. Well, then obviously, why won't they acknowledge this? Is there something hidden there? Well, indeed there is. There's a past history of women within the Catholic Church, beginning in the early centuries, that they indeed themselves held all these religious positions. And my second book was Journey of a Celiac Soul, S-O-U-L, A Second Chance at Life. And the reason I wrote this is I lived with this disease for 20 years. And lo and behold, I found out I had an autoimmune disease, celiac disease. And this is a disease that affects one's not only your physical body, but as well your spiritual body in regards to the communion host. And there's so many people, unfortunately, that have different ideas that they think they know what this is. But just imagine you every day eating your normal meals, and yet you're losing a great amount of weight. Why are you constantly hungry? This disease literally wears away your intestinal wall, and these little wavy-like projections really are there to gather in your nutrients. And if you have none of these on your intestinal wall, well, then you're not gaining any type of nutrition from whatever food you ingest. And then you go to a doctor, and they look at you, and you do present yourself as looking anorexic because you've lost great amounts of weight. And they just look at you, oh, you're anorexic. The help that you need is at a psychiatrist's office. But it's awful, let's face it. We know our bodies best. And we know something is amiss. And then to be going to doctors year in, year out. And over this long 20-year period, it got to the last few years, it's just living in a state of constant exhaustion, extreme exhaustion, and as well, even to eat. You eat and eat and eat, and you're nowhere. And then you look at yourself in the mirror, and who is this stranger peering back at you? But what happened for me, it was really miraculous, because I had been resigned to the fact that this is the end stages. I'm dying. I'm not going to have a second chance to ever have any type of hope, live out some sort of dreams or aspirations. And finally, when the doctor's call came, he let me know I was within 5 months of being 6 feet down in the ground. So, that was really sobering. But just as I'm in a high point that, oh my God, finally I know what this is and I'm going to live, then when I found out the ramifications of this disease, that there was no more wheat, well, the communion host originally was just a wheaten host. Years later, they came out with a low gluten. But there are still individuals like myself, and there's an expert in this field, and he came out and he said that still 0.01% is still too much for certain individuals. And for myself and other individuals, this lower gluten communion host still is not acceptable for us. What does that mean? Where is your communion? Unless you have an open-minded priest that lets you put a gluten-free food in the little picks. When he does the consecration, you're not going to get communion. And I had just an unbelievable experience where I had an associate priest, after 5 months of giving me my picks with my safe gluten-free communion, said, no, I no longer can give you this. I am breaking church canon law. Now, this canon law wasn't even around when Jesus was around. This is all man-made law. And this priest went on about how he was going to be a perfect priest and he could not break this canon church law. So I said, well, and he was going to get such a good night's sleep. And this is why I wrote this book, because I want any other individual that's in whatever denominational church that has this issue and is having an issue that, like myself, that they won't make a change. Your very spiritual hunger needs to be recognized. And when it is not recognized, it's not the Jesus, it's not that spiritual ministry, that compassion that Jesus offers. You're basically getting nothing. You're getting an institutional church that's very hardline and is not feeding you or feeding myself. This is Margaret Mary O'Connor, host of Your Radical Truth podcast, reminding any listeners you're always going to hear the wonderfully radical truth of the other side of an issue.